Hey guys, really excited to share this podcast with you. Sat down with Emilio DiSpirito is actually how you pronounce it. You'll see at the beginning of the podcast I mess up his name, despite the fact that I've been hanging with Emilio for a couple of years. He's in a neighboring state of mine. I think it's super important for all of us if you're listening to this podcast and maybe even if you're not a real estate agent or in sales, that it's important that you collaborate with like-minded people in your industry. You can pull so many interesting, even if it's just one thing every time you sit down, a little tweak or something that leads to a conversation with somebody in your internal organization that can help move the needle. Every time I get with Emilio, some good stuff comes out of it. And I think we got some really good gems here in this podcast. So hope you enjoy it. And please leave me some type of comment or feedback on what you got out of this the most. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe. So enjoy the podcast. I'll look forward to engaging with you guys afterwards. Take care. All right, guys, we've got Emilio DiSpirito. I always nail that last name. No, I didn't nail it.
No, DiSpirito.
DiSpirito.
It's a tough one. There's a lot of vowels in there.
DiSpirito. And I've had Emilio on a bunch of videos in the past. Not really a traditional podcast setting like we're doing here, right?
First time for this.
Yeah. And so you're into the top 10 here, the first 10 podcasts.
I'm honored.
Are you pretty excited about that?
I'm very excited. It's always a good time.
Emilio's got a really successful team in my neighboring state of Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have a radio show on iHeart over there, which I've been on. And you've been on my radio show. What else are you doing? You're doing a bunch of content. That's why I love you, because you're out there putting out content, which is what every agent should be doing right now.
Absolutely.
What else you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, just basically getting the blogs out, the content out. We do our best to educate the consumer with questions that we really shouldn't be spending so much time taking care of when we can send a video.
Mm-hmm.
So like if they have questions about the inspection period or about the buying process or the mortgage process, we just have a video. We just send them.
I love that. So because like I said, we've done a bunch of videos in the past. You can't find those because that was my old YouTube channel, unfortunately.
Oh, it's gone?
Well, I didn't tell you that story.
A little bit of it, but
yeah, that channel's basically gone.
I didn't realize
this channel here is way more badass because we got people like Sam behind the scenes. And
Sam does a killer job.
It's just like another level, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to produce content over and over again. But just so we can back up and give anybody that's not familiar with you, how'd you get into real estate? Why did you get in? Just give that quick little thing.
Yeah, man.
To kind of open it up.
So I was in a sales job. I absolutely hated it. I was preparing to get fired from it, actually.
You were preparing? You were planning the firing?
Well, I was
your own fate?
I was so dead broke at the time, right? And we can talk about that another time, but it was god awful. So I just, I kicked up my feet, started reading books and stuff, just getting ready.
Originally from Rhode Island.
Yeah, I knew they were
without the accent. You've got the vowel in the last name, but no accent.
Springfield, Mass.
Springfield, Mass.
Originally, yeah.
Got it.
Out where Steve Rovithis is.
Yeah, our boy Steve.
He's
Steve's
a beast.
Watching,
He's definitely a beast, yeah. Cool guy. So anyways, long story short, I knew they were going to can me anyways, so I just made the most out of it, right? And then I went right into real estate school. A good friend of mine, Pete DeFresney, and out of Keller Williams in Rhode Island, was like, dude, you need to get into real estate.
Is that where you started, KW?
No.
Okay.
No, I started at Wykert.
Okay.
Yeah. So whatever, long story short, just got into it, Byron. Absolutely loved it. My first few months, I started blogging. And people in the office like, what do you know? Why are you blogging? I'm like, I'm blogging to learn. Like I'm teaching to learn.
Engaging and putting my story out there and documenting my journey type of thing.
Yeah, It's been unbelievable. So then I went and started the team, right? Because we started making a lot of traction. People were actually calling me off the blogs, like consumers and whatnot. And I just noticed it started working.
Just written blogs, no videos at that time.
No videos at that time. Just written blogs, and then we kicked it up a notch. I got a letter in the mail from this media company that said, hey, why don't you come do a radio show? We're going to help you select this a radio station, whatnot. They did. They brokered the deal. Like they were like agents pretty much, right?
Okay.
And then I went on iHeartRadio, going 3 years strong, right? And it's just been absolutely unbelievable.
a lot of your clients, especially on the listing side, because I think that's what's most important for any agent out there is listings.
Mm-hmm.
Do a lot of your clients typically say to you that the iHeartRadio affiliation, it was one of the factors that pushed them over the edge to sign with you?
No, I think it's more or less like it's validity and authority, because a lot of people might have podcasts, or they might have this or that, or do videos. But what being involved with a company like iHeart does is it creates, they can identify it.
Yeah, they've heard of it for sure.
It's credibility, and on top of it, it's consistency.
It forces you to put out content every week.
I'm there every single week. We're making between 4 and 6 videos every single week, never mind the podcast.
Well, because you're taking the radio thing really to the next level. You're putting it, which I'm doing
with CBS.
With the CBS affiliate, we're taking the radio show and putting that into straight podcast so people can go find the old shows. But you're also bringing in a video crew, and you're recording the show and putting out bite-sized pieces of content on top of that. So that 1 hour, whatever the show is it 1 hour or 2 hours?
It's 45 minutes, an
45
hour.
Minute show, an hour show.
Hour in radio time.
An hour in radio time.
We don't have a Sam
minutes.
there, though. We just have two. I wish we had Sam there.
You're just setting them up.
We just have two.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so people that are thinking about doing something, because I agree with what you and I said before we sat down, we were at lunch, like radio's not dead. For people that think it is,
I love it.
On a local level, radio is 100% not dead yet.
Yeah.
It will die. It will die. You understand that too, right?
Well, then we'll have podcasts.
Well, the thing
It's on demand.
here's what I think. If you actually want to get into this, I think that what you're doing is smart. Putting all the content to podcasts. Right now, there's still attention on radio. There are still people, especially in the age demographic of which we list properties for, that listen to the radio.
Absolutely.
But in 2022, when every single used car has the ability to just pop up what's on your phone, which is going to be podcasts and Audible, and you actually have to go searching for the radio. Like in my car right now, it's a Ford Explorer. It's a 2018. You literally have to search for the radio button. Everything that's on my phone is what pops up on the screen. So Audible, so SoundCloud, Apple Tunes, Apple Podcasts. Those are the options. I have to get out of that and go into some weird-looking thing to find the radio.
Terrestrial radio.
I honestly believe radio's on a 5-ish year run.
Wow.
And what's nice about it is that their cost of entry has reflected that shift.
Absolutely.
where print hasn't reflected the shift at all. They're still jamming high prices for no reason
it makes
and no
no
value.
sense at all.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that if you're an agent out there that's thinking about how do I consistently produce content every single week, and I maybe only have an hour, but maybe I have an opportunity for somebody to sponsor the show, and I can now reproduce that content to be my content throughout the week. I mean, you get 4 segments on an hour show.
4 to 6, yeah.
All 4 segments could be a piece of content. You could break out little quotes with that. You could get 20 pieces of content from a radio show within each week.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Tell me about, I know you're doing sponsorships through your station. I have a sponsor on my show as well. If an agent was going to do a radio show, would you 100% advise doing the sponsorship route?
Yeah, absolutely. But the people that you have on your show, you got to make sure that you're giving back of value to. You need to make sure that it's a reciprocal relationship. You can't just have people come on the show and not, give back. It doesn't make sense. Who's going to continue to support that?
Yeah.
Right?
So what do you mean? Like what ways do you do that?
I mean, think about it. Like, so we have a couple people on our show that do mortgages, a couple people that are attorneys. We have home inspectors, contractors. You name it. Anyone involved in the real estate process. Really, a lot of these guys need marketing. Guys and girls, they need. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
They need marketing, and this actually provides a platform for them to do that. So
if they're not, so whoever's coming on your show, if they're not producing a ton of content, they're getting basically these deliverables after the show, and they're able to put that into their, whatever it is, Facebook or their maybe they have a SoundCloud or whatever.
We do it for them. I mean,
so you're just saying, hey, listen, you're going
huge
to come on,
exposure,
and we're going to get you the exposure.
Yeah, you know, you're on. So I mean, and anybody can set this up.
Yep.
It's not rocket science, right? So you go on, you start a show, go to a local radio station, an AM station. Who cares? They give you clean, crisp audio. You put that audio out to SoundCloud on Anchor. It hits out to like 12 different podcast channels, Apple, Google, the whole nine. Mm-hmm. And then you take the video and you hire a video editor, have them chop it all up, and voila, that's it.
So I love it. I love all that. You're investing heavily in your brand, which is what I preach ad nauseum, and I think that's smart play. Are you putting any money right now, and this is just for context, if you're just stumbling across the podcast, this is the end of November of 2018, right? We're going into 2019.
Yeah.
PA4 just came out. There's been so many changes with Zillow this year. Are you investing any money in online leads? Is it Zillow?
No.
Nothing.
No, just
zero?
Just Realtor.com. I invest $525 a month. Done. That's it.
Realtor.com.
Yeah.
Not a penny on Zillow.
No.
When did you stop Zillow, or did you ever do Zillow?
1 year, and this isn't even much compared to probably what some other people are spending. We spent $36,000 on Zillow, and
what year was that?
2014, 2015.
Okay.
Between Trulia and Zillow, it was just a lot of money, and we didn't really see a huge return on it at that time, so we just stopped.
Were you in the green?
No, we were in the red.
You were in the red.
There was no return, but that's I take accountability.
Well,
on
you
that.
said we didn't really make a return. I thought maybe you got 45,000. You said, well, to make 10 grand, we can get that in different. Okay.
I was a newer team leader at the time, just trying to figure out the kinks and whatnot. And do I think that Zillow could give us a return right now? Yeah, I think that there could be a bit of a return.
Well, did Rhode Island go to PA4 yet?
I don't even know what that means.
Okay, so they changed the Premier Agent program.
Oh, I do know about that. Yeah, from your podcast and from your videos.
Yeah,
thank you.
You're welcome. We have a very, very small spend on Zillow per year. We don't do any Realtor.com, but our spend is so small in comparison to, I think, most real high producing teams, because over the last 5, 6, 7 years, a lot of them have gotten fat and happy off of what Zillow provides, and it's been very easy, and it's kept the team agents and the big teams working and active, and it's kept all the agents super active. But I just don't feel like enough of the teams have invested in their brand marketing, in putting out original video content, original blog content, their own, like all that kind of stuff, which costs tons and tons of money and time and effort and energy and great people and all of that. And so now when Zillow makes a shift, you're so vulnerable to that platform because they are able to make changes on a drop of a hat, and you're the one that either suffers or gets the benefit of if it helps you. Right now with PA4, people are feeling the pain because they see their lead flow go down 75% in some instances.
Crazy.
So now if you've got agents that have been accustomed to just operating off Zillow, and they're not making expired calls, and they're not putting out video, and they're not doing all these other things, they were just counting on those Zillow leads, and 75% of their work went away.
Yeah.
They're like, well, what am I doing? Well, what are we doing next? Is the world going to fall apart? Because that was your world, right?
That's it.
Super, super dangerous model. When you say just Realtor.com, are you doing anything else? Pay-per-click, anything else, or just investing in brand and content marketing?
That's funny. We've dabbled a little bit on Facebook, maybe spent on pulling leads in, maybe a couple $100 here and there, but we don't really spend a lot of money on that. We put all of our money into our brand and all of our money into educating the consumers.
So that's good. That's going to keep you in a position to fight off disruptors. In your market of Rhode Island, I think Redfin's there.
Redfin's there. They're not huge yet, but I think they're going to, you'll see them get legs.
Is Purple Bricks there?
No, not yet. They're out of London, I think, right?
Yeah, but they're here in the States.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. They are originally out of London.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not scared of platforms like that because I know the value we bring.
I understand that, but if you were to pick one what do you believe you're vulnerable to the most Is it Zillow? Is it Redfin? Is it some other disruptor we're not talking about? Is it a shift in the market? What do you think you're vulnerable to most right now?
Ourselves.
Yeah.
Ourselves. I think that there's so many great realtors out there, like yourself, like Steve that I mentioned, like Tom Toole, like all these guys, all the people, like the people on the 5 a.m. call that really care. We're synergizing together. We're working together. We're really actually working for the client's best interest and to build something that can give a lot of value. Mm-hmm. But I feel that I hate to say it, but I feel a lot of the part-time real estate agents that come in the business and eat up so many of the transactions but do such a poor job at it. I feel like it gives us all a bad name in the public eye.
Yeah, and well, one thing I would say about Zillow, what they're really actually going to do here with this new PA4 and the consumer satisfaction score, if you don't, on that consumer satisfaction score, if you don't score over a 73, Zillow will not give you leads for 90 days. So basically they're saying your score is too low, meaning you're not getting back to clients, you're not following up, you're not even answering leads. If that's the case, we're not even going to take your money. So Zillow's basically saying we won't take your money if you're not a good agent, if you don't have a good consumer satisfaction score. So what does that do? Okay, so the agents that, especially in a good market right now, like what you're talking about, part-time agents come in and chew up deals in a good market.
All the time.
They can get lucky, right? In a good market. It's easy for a new agent to get lucky.
Yeah, they walk in, they make a little bit of money.
Yep, exactly. So if Zillow's not going to give them those leads because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
That's great.
And then the market dries up. A lot of these, and what always happens is a lot of these agents get wiped out, right? And so that's what I'm seeing as the next opportunity, right? And we can get into where I think there's going to be some vulnerabilities in that opportunity period. But that's the next opportunity. When the market pulls back, which is coming at some point, and I don't think it's going to be...
I see it already.
Yeah, and it's not going to be like dramatic for like 07 or something like that, but it's going to happen, and people are going to get wiped out. And the people that are investing in brand and people that are investing in content marketing and educating the consumer, just providing value and giving out content every single day, are going to scoop up so much market share, are going to have agents coming to them saying, hey, how do I be a part of what you're building? This is a safe place, right? Like when shit gets a little scary, you want to go somewhere safe. And they're going to flock to the teams and to the brokerages that make them feel safe.
Yep.
Now, at the same time, there is an opportunity for Zillow really to, on the flip side of that, now they're going to, like I said, not take the money from the bad agents, right? And they can, and I think they're smart enough to see that the market's pulling back and that the only agents that are going to have money are the good agents anyway, so let's go take care of them.
They know what they're doing. It's very smart, yeah.
And they want their consumers to have a really good experience, so they want to focus on the good agents. But they're also needling a little bit further in and a little bit further in and a little bit further in. I can send you a video that was sent to me, 15-minute video of training agents. This is directly from Zillow. Training agents on how to conduct themselves at their owned open houses. But do you know what I'm talking about?
But this is the problem I'm saying is that I don't necessarily think that the National Association of Realtors is really, or our boards or anybody, not to get on them, but I don't feel that they're giving us enough value as far as actual beneficial sales training.
No, so here's my point about this.
We need sales training.
Here's my point about this. If Zillow's willing to do it to some degree.
They're filling a void.
Zillow's taking a 15-minute video and saying, this is how you need to conduct yourself at my, Zillow, meaning they bought the house, they own the house, and they're hiring you as the agent to do it.
Okay, I got what you're saying, yep.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so what are they actually now doing? They're being your sales trainer on their product because they want their product, the houses that they buy, to go over really well. They want the consumer to have a great experience anytime they're associated with Zillow. If they have success with that, do they take a little more? Do they take a little more? Do they take a little more? Here's where it's going. You're going to do a deal with Zillow, you're going to be paying them 35% commission. Just like Op City, just like any of these other guys. They're going to try to cut into 35% of the commission because they know that's where the money is in the commissions, not in the ad spends, especially not in the ad spends on the buy side.
Yeah.
Like the fact that everybody bought buyer internet leads, that to me is really going to die because you have to control the listings. And Zillow can now, they finally, after all these years, have figured that out. They better get into the listing side of the game because that's all that matters. Let me ask you, actually, because that's my opinion. Are you just fighting for listings?
And we go for the listings.
Yeah.
Because the listings will give you, I think Gary Keller said this, the listing will give you another listing and 2 or 3 buyers. And it's absolutely true. It rings true. I mean, people that control the listings control the market, right? And I actually heard a statistic that said that realtors are down in income about, 30%? And I think from last year over the year before. In 17 over 16.
Well, here's why.
Because of all these companies that are coming in.
Tom Ferry said, I guess I'm going back maybe 4 years, said, commission compression is coming. And you heard it from a number of different areas. Spencer Raskoff certainly talked about it. Commission compression. Commission compression isn't necessarily taking what used to be the commission percentage and cutting it in half. It's it's Obsidian, it's Zillow cutting in from, hey, we're going to do an ad spend and buyer leads to we're taking 25, 30, 40% of the transactions. That's the commission compression.
That's a lot of money.
Right? If you're giving up 40% of deals and you have a brokerage split and you have a staff you have to pay and whatever, that's insane amounts.
You're breaking even sometimes. Sometimes you're taking a loss depending on the volume of that listing.
What do you see going into 2019 overall market? So, talk a little bit about what you see for your state and Rhode Island, but then just generally the overall market.
Yeah, I mean, what I see happening is rates continuing to rise, okay? And when the rates continue to rise, you're going to see people with sticker shock at various points. Like right now, I see a lot of sticker shock. I see the people that were pre-approved at 4.5 that couldn't find a house. Now they're coming back in because inventory is increasing and the rates are going up. So, they're kind of holding back in that aspect. So it's going to be on the realtors, us, to educate them on the difference between buying now and buying them. I don't necessarily.
Yesterday, they came out. They're not raising the rate. The Fed didn't hike the rate yesterday.
Right now,
no, I know, and they've hiked it enough, and I think that was the right call.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And I did not see that. So I'm glad you said that.
That was yesterday, yeah.
And that, who knows, and that could change everything. Who knows what can happen? I don't have the
we
crystal
could get
ball.
In Q1 next year and they it,
but I really do think, where you look at rates historically, I think that they are going to continue to go up. It wouldn't be anything out of this world.
No.
Right?
I agree.
So basically the whole point of it is that I think people will come back and buy. We're going to have, I think, more of a buyer's market going into 2019. Right now it's pretty balanced in most of Rhode Island. In some other states, I'm not sure what's happening here in Connecticut.
We've had very much, since 12, we've had very incremental growth since we kind of bottomed out. There was an interesting stat I was looking at about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a 2017 stat, so it's from last year's, 12-month span, that while the rest of the country rose 30%, Connecticut rose 5% in terms of sales.
What did your business rise over the past couple of years?
No, mine continued
you guys are crushing it.
To outclimb the 5%. I'm just talking sales prices on that stat.
Yeah.
So our market, and the reason why sellers and homeowners believe the market in Connecticut's bad, even though it's had little jumps like that, 5% at a time, is because they're seeing the rest of the country have 30% and 40%. And certainly, you're in Rhode Island, you're closer to that Boston market. What's happened there? And people see headline reading on these big major markets, and they don't realize they're just not in one of those markets here locally. Right.
Yeah.
So that's been our battle.
It can be a challenge as a realtor when you tell somebody what their home is worth and they're like, no, I want way more.
You're at the best year ever since the peak. They're like, it doesn't feel like it, dude.
Yeah.
It feels terrible for me right now. Right. So I think next year for us, our local, everything's a local market too, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like, what do you have for jobs coming in? Like right now, locally, we have a company that's going to bring in some jobs. Electric Boat's going to bring in some jobs. That's going to help locally, the bottom end of the market a little bit. And we didn't have these huge swings up, so we probably this time won't have huge swings down. We did during the last peak have enormous swings up.
Yeah.
We just haven't had them here yet.
That's funny. Maybe it's still, could still be coming.
Still coming.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. We benefit from Boston. We have a lot of people that come in from Massachusetts
that are selling, and here's what I would probably
masks coming in
that's
Rhode Island.
They're selling. They're like, holy smokes! I just made $300K in the last 3 years. I'm getting out, and I can just take the train up from Providence or
Easy.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's like people selling in Rhode Island and moving to Florida or moving to North Carolina. The difference is
going
there.
from Mass to Rhode Island. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So
what is it from Providence to Boston? What is that?
You're looking at anywhere from 30 to 50% price difference.
No, I understand that, but just in a car. If I'm gonna jump in a car from Providence
timing.
to Boston.
Yeah, I mean nothing at all. It's 45 minutes from Providence to Boston without traffic.
Yep.
But you could just jump on the train.
Yeah.
And free parking, jump on the train. It's easy. So a lot of people are taking advantage of that.
Do you go up to Boston a lot? Or?
No. I'm your typical Rhode Islander as of late.
This guy just stays in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I stay in my little 40 by 40 square, right? And no, I mean we've just been so busy. Thankfully, we've been so busy where we've just been covering Rhode Island, a little bit of the outskirts of Massachusetts too. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Did you do a lot of events this year or no?
Events?
Real estate events?
No, not really. We did one networking event. I believe in networking. I believe in bringing in the extended team, and
we got to get you some of these Tom Ferry events.
Oh no, I need to. Yeah, something like that. See, my mind wasn't even there.
Yeah,
I got to go see you give a talk.
No, just come and hang out.
I know, but I'm seeing I'm meeting so many great. Well, not meeting them. I'm just watching so many great people on these things. I'm like, I need to get to one.
Absolutely.
You find them to be very beneficial.
100%.
Yeah, I would think so.
I'm obviously a huge advocate of the Tom Ferry ecosystem and those events. To me, like when Tom does the summit every year, that's the State of the Union address of real estate. Every year I look at it that way, right?
Yeah, that's
but
big.
The network that you build, the referral opportunities that come out of it they're really endless. Everybody can kind of now reach out to me when something happens in Connecticut. And it doesn't mean necessarily I'm going to take be able to service every opportunity. I'm going to be honest, but having those calls coming in from all over the country from different agents saying, hey, what's the best play here? I've got somebody that needs to sell something in Connecticut or move into Connecticut. Mm-hmm. Is it you? Is it somebody else? That's been amazing. More than that, it's just meeting people, like the relationship we've built over the years, being able to share. You mentioned Steve and Tom and some of these guys I met through that, ecosystem, being able to share what's working for them. Tom Toole, for example, has a team that's just unbelievable. I think they're going to hit 100 million this year. They're going to be right around 100 million this year. He introduced me to Doug Edrington, went down to his office in Chattanooga. They sold 491 homes last year. I don't know what they're going to hit in 18. But just huge, ridiculous numbers. There's a lot of stuff that I can pull from people like that are just doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that approach, and never knew that was really in real estate.
Isn't real estate a funny business that way?
It
where
is.
People are so willing to share and pull from other people and other teams what's working from them and plug it into their business. I can't really think of an industry that's quite like that in how collaborative agents are if they're not a direct competitor. And then there's some agents even if they're a direct competitor will be open, but that camaraderie, the one thing I'm always beating up on NAR, the one thing I'll say that's been good about their lobbyists have 100% helped keep agents together and protect agents. And so it'll be interesting to see ultimately how much these disruptors can kind of break that apart, right? Because we have been an interesting bunch, a resilient bunch over the years, even long before you and I were in the industry. They just have been. And it's been the one industry that's been very tough for tech guys to just quote unquote come in and attack, right? Like it was easy for them to get the the travel agent. Right? That was an easy one.
Stocks.
Yep. Stocks were an easy one. Personal finance has been massively disrupted. More, I mean, you know what I'll say about our lender friends, unfortunately, they're really in a different spot because there is going to be banks that figure out how to get a 2-week closing done through technology, and it'll be interesting to see, what happens there. It'll be interesting to see what that does to the agent too. You start talking about a 2-week closing, you don't have this drawn out value of 60 days. You need to be able to showcase your value and what you're going to do over a 2-week closing period. It could mean it goes up. It could mean it's a little bit more commoditized, right? I mean, that's an interesting play. That's coming, though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think there's opportunity in any change like that for companies, especially tech companies. But ultimately, what we're doing is such a human-to-human interaction. There's so many emotions involved. There's so many
it's such
steps
a physical
involved.
product.
My transaction coordinator, Mike, the guy's amazing, right? He on our team. He said, I am so surprised that anything ever even closes. And he said that the other day, and I was like, it's so true, right? With 52 people involved in the average transaction, I think there is room for us as agents and as professionals and even the technology companies to work together to fix that and to leverage it.
I agree with that. I mean, I don't think there needs to necessarily be 52 people on average in a transaction.
But
there is right now.
Yeah.
If in a world, I just want to go futuristic for a second. In a world of, say, 2-week closings all the time, it's the norm. It's the average closing time. Do you believe transactions across the country will go up? More people will buy and sell more frequently into the future in that type of an environment?
I believe that the homes are selling, people are buying and selling a lot more. In Rhode Island, people buy and sell homes.
You believe they're already doing it?
Faster than they buy cars. 2.7 years in Rhode Island, people are buying and selling. I mean, wow. I've been in the business a little over 6 years, and I've helped people out 3 times. That's crazy. Yep. So, I do believe that the transaction, that the time point in a house could speed up. However, there's something, if somebody's in a Hubbard clause, right? That's what we call it in Rhode Island. I don't know if you call it. Okay, so they're in a Hubbard clause. They have to sell before they buy. There's some things that are really going to drag those transactions down, and I don't necessarily know that all transactions can do that. Maybe with new construction, if somebody doesn't have to sell, or maybe with the entry homes, first-time home buyer type of homes, you can do those quick transaction times, but also the seller needs to find suitable housing. So I don't necessarily know that the 2-week period would really stick with everything. Could it speed things up quite a bit? Yes. But I think that there's way too many elements involved. And I actually had an artificial intelligence a consultant come on my radio program. The guy's fascinating, Dan Fagella. He spoke in front of the United Nations. He spoke in front of a bunch of different large companies, big time, right? He came on and he said he believes we're probably about 15 years out or so for artificial intelligence to really make a huge impact in real estate and potentially replace the realtor. Mm-hmm. And what he said was until somebody can go in and shake, or a machine can go in and shake your hand, tell a joke, say hi to your kid, walk you through a house, it's not going to happen.
You mean the physical showing? That's just talking about the showing
physical
part,
showing
right?
part, yeah. But
showing agents and to some degree buyer agents are going to be the most vulnerable, right? Because for a showing agent, you already have, the tech. Yes, I agree. Someday you'll have a robot actually greeting people, but you already have the technology to take a selfie for open door, upload your driver's license, and get into the house on their lockbox.
That's pretty amazing.
That's pretty amazing because it does mean in some instances, if the house is vacant and so on and so forth, and there's a lot of variables there, but it does mean that you don't need an agent, a physical body showing up to unlock the door. So showing agents have already had disruption, and that also kind of lends to buyer's agents because in a world today where buyers are so informed, the buyer agent in some instances on people that aren't bringing a ton of value, right? Mm-hmm. They are nothing more than a showing agent at times. They're just opening doors. Right. So
because of that, and going back to what we were talking about before, our biggest issue, unfortunately, is ourselves as agents. And if we're not all given value, then there's going to be opportunity for the disruptors. Mm-hmm. There wouldn't be opportunity if people were satisfied with the service.
Let me ask you this, because you come across a ton of sellers.
Yeah, mostly.
What's the most common, what do they have the most in common that they want out of the process, the sellers?
Trust. They want to know that they can trust whoever it is. That's the biggest thing.
They want trust before they hire you. But what are you finding is their most common outcome of that they want, of the reason they're going to hire you? So they want to trust you, but are they hiring you based off of the best marketing, getting the most money for the house,
Yeah, I mean, that's simple. So they hire me because I don't just walk in a house unprepared and just look around and say, you know what, I think you're going to get $390 for this house. No. When I sit down with them, I'm very analytical. I'll go, even for the people that aren't so analytical, they really want to know. They might be more bottom lined, right? So you get there quicker, but show them that you've done your homework. When I sit down with someone, I lay a ton of information out on the table. I explain what it means and why. And by their body language and how they're acting, I can tell if I need to speed it up or if I need to slow it down.
You're right, because some people are going to get lost.
Before I meet with them, I give them a ton of value. You had told me about this audiobook. They ask, you answer.
Great book.
Fantastic book.
Unbelievable book.
That changed the way we do business.
Yeah.
So before I meet with someone, I give them so much information, and I can see through Follow Up Boss, our CRM program, if they're opening it, engaging it, and clicking it. And some of our emails have 100% engagement.
Yep.
Think about that. An email campaign with 100% engagement. It's been fantastic. So now when I sit down with our prospective clients, that you might as well call them clients. They're ready to go. And they may have met with 2 or 3 or 4 other realtors. We're giving them that info.
Yeah, they've made that decision already.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Dude, I want to wrap this up, but before I do that, we're going to do something a little fun. If any, and we went a little technical there, but if any of these newer agents or people aspiring to be in real estate made it all the way through this far to the podcast, I'd like you to give anybody that's new, and this can lend to a team leader because they can use this as they're bringing in new agents. Like, what's the one thing you would tell yourself coming into the business, and or a new agent that's coming into the business day one?
Yeah, I would say burn your ships. And there's a huge old story that goes along with this with a Navy admiral. You heard that story before. We
actually had one of my past clients, a guy in upstate New York, come on the 5 a.m. call one time. And he did a 5 a.m. call on this, about you're about to say. He's got a 120 person law firm today. Super amazing dude, Paul Harding, up in Albany, New York. But yeah, go ahead, tell the story.
Go, Paul. So I might butcher the story a little bit, but here's what I remember, what I gather from it.
Paraphrase it.
Okay, I will. So there was these islands that this Navy admiral or whatever, he couldn't conquer. Okay, well, not him, but his counterparts couldn't conquer. So he had 2 or 3 ships, and they were going to these islands, and everyone would go out. They'd get beat up by the natives. They would leave, right? So they went in, and he ordered that all the ships were to be burnt. So now it was pure survival. There's no fight or flight. It's just fight. And when you're getting into real estate, you need to get in for all the right reasons, and you need to, have confidence in yourself, and you need to have endurance, and you need to take a beating, and you need to take no and embrace the no's, Byron.
And burning the ship means
there's no escape.
Burning the ship means you don't have a part-time job.
Get rid of the part-time job.
Because you know what? If I don't make my calls today, well, I'm still going into the restaurant tonight, and I'm gonna make a couple bucks doing that. Yeah. Like, that's what burning the ship means.
Live broke.
Dude, imagine if you were on that island and these maniacs were burning the ships. Yeah. Like, dude, I'm just gonna be like, have the island.
Yeah.
Don't burn your ships.
Yeah, right. So when I started in real estate, within 6 months, I was number 2 in my office out of 30 agents or so.
You went online.
I burned my ships. Yep. I was broke. I loved it. That was the best time of my life because I learned more about myself and more about.
What I guess the hard part for a new agent is, everybody is attracted to real estate in some way.
The glam and glitter.
And then if they're going to be attracted to it, where they're going to go into it as a job, as a career, sometimes it's for those wrong reasons. They saw a show or whatever.
They watch you make it look easy.
Probably not because of me, but probably more because Bravo TV show or something. And so, yeah, it does look easy when you look at that, and it looks like a lot of fun, too. That's the other part. It looks like a lot of fun. So for them to not have dug in deep enough, that's the mistake, I think. When you say burn the ships, you really got to dig in and make sure that you know this is your deal. This is what you're going to do. You've talked to enough people. You've tasted it. You've looked at how hard the really experienced agents work. Like, think about it. If you're brand new and you reach out to 10 agents to have coffee with you that are super successful top agents in your marketplace, probably none of them are going to take you to coffee. And that should give you an indication of just how hard it is, because they're so busy they can't even get back to you, right? Now, you reach out to a guy like Emilio, he might find a little bit of time because he's a good guy, but you're going to have to reach out to probably 50 top, I'm talking top agents, to get one coffee meeting, to try to pick somebody's brain on how hard it is. I mean, any broker, any office manager is going to meet with you. And that's the biggest mistake that they make. They're like, I've got 3 offers. Dude, anybody's going to give you an offer if they're a manager and they're incentivized to get a bonus off of you joining the office.
Yeah, that's easy.
Guys, they're getting $1,000 or more bonuses on each head that they bring in. They're retired real estate people that didn't want to deal with clients anymore, and they took this job to basically recruit. They took a salary.
You don't
recruit.
run your team like that. Your team, right? Yeah. I would imagine is not an open door. The people on your team have to meet certain 100%. Qualifications. 100%. They have to meet a certain need for your team, and they got to be a certain level of a professional to get on. Correct?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that a lot of new agents.
And a brokerage won't, an office brokerage won't do what we'll do. We'll come to you if you're not performing and say, hey, we love you. We want you to do great things, but it's just not going to be here. Yeah. Right? Brokerages won't do that unless you're insubordinate or something.
Yeah. I mean.
But they won't do it based off of production.
Yeah. No. And what is insubordinate? I mean, if you've got 15% of all the agents doing 85% of the work, I mean, wouldn't you say that the rest are insubordinate?
Yeah, but not because they're not doing that. Not from the brokerage mindset. No. They're not going to do that because this one gets 4 deals done a year, this one gets 4, and it's flow. And those bottom agents are on a much lower split, so the margin is higher than on those top agents. But
one piece of advice
that model is a little fucked. So
it is. Nice. One, I can't say that on the radio, so it's funny talking into a mic. I know. It's great. It's great. What would you give somebody as far as a brand new agent coming in? And by the way, I admire people that are willing to take that risk and jump into real estate. I admire them.
100%.
The ones that stick with it.
Yeah.
What would you give them as far as advice?
My advice has changed a little bit, but it boils down to two things. It's number one, have the conversation if you're married or if you have, a partner or a spouse or whatever. Have the conversation up front that over the next 2 to 3 years, I'm going to be required, not required by anybody, but just required by my commitment to this new career to work close to 7 days a week, to work close to 10, 12, 14 plus hours because I'm going to be super, super successful in this business. And you need to have a partner that buys into that plan because it's going to help your long-term plan because of whatever, right? Whatever those goals are for the relationship. But you're not going to make it in real estate working 6-hour days. It's not going to work out for you. So there's that. And then, number 2 to that is you got to get around the right people. This business, you're never going to know everything, even if you've been in it 50 years. And I've sat down with plenty of 50-plus year agent vets.
Wow.
Me and Nicole were flown out to Arizona by a 50-plus year vet.
Wow.
And he'll even admit to you, that guy, Greg Haig, would even admit to you that he doesn't know everything in this business. You're learning every single day. So if you're coming in day one, you better get around the right people. To me, it's going to be a really high-producing team that has their own employees internally, outside from their brokerage. So be willing to work till you have blood coming out of your eyeballs and be willing to do that on a team because there's just way too much to learn. And always be willing to learn.
There is. Yep. There is.
Dude, really appreciate you
only taking
the drive,
to be here.
but dropping some serious knowledge on the podcast here. And we're definitely, Sam knows, we're going to be jacking up the podcast in 2019. So I'm going to definitely have you back on.
Likewise, yeah.
Probably in the new studio too.
I can't
All
wait.
right, brother?
Yeah.
Emilio,
All right,
we'll link
Byron.
you up. Thank you so much,
you.
brother.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.